Donald Trump is vehemently denying allegations made in a shocking Atlantic piece, which claims that Trump refused to visit a US military cemetery near Paris in 2018 because the fallen soldiers were, in his words, losers and suckers. Now, I say it was a shocking piece, but to be honest with you, not so shocking when you consider all the different times he transparently, brazenly said terrible things about members of our military who happen to disagree with him politically. But here he is denying it, and then I'll give you what the facts are.
To think that I would make statements negative to our military and our fallen heroes when nobody's done what I've done with the budgets, with the military budgets, with getting pay raises for our military. It is a disgraceful situation by a magazine that's a terrible magazine. I don't read it. I disagreed with John McCain, but I still respected him. And I had to approve his funeral as president. We lowered the flags. I had to approve that. Nobody else, I had to approve it. When you think, and I'm just thinking back, I had to approve either Air Force One or a military plane to go to Arizona to pick up his casket. And I approved it immediately.
So let's take a look at a Trump tweet from 2015, because there's always a tweet. This is from July 18th, 2015, where Trump referred to John McCain as a loser. I mean, he tweeted an article about himself calling John McCain a loser. So he was bragging about it. Also, when McCain died in 2018, Trump refused to lower the White House flag back to half staff, even though it's become customary for presidents to sign a proclamation calling for the flag to remain at half staff for members of Congress until the day of interment. And then one other piece of evidence to kind of refute Trump's narrative in that video. Take a look.
Somebody should run against John McCain, who has been, in my opinion, not so hot. And I supported him. I supported him for president. I raised $1 million for him. It's a lot of money. I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But he lost. So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
That was from a 2015 event in Iowa. Cenk.
So I don't know how to talk to Trump supporters anymore. That's why I say, I'm done with them in my personal life and everywhere else, because the guy's a ridiculous liar. Doesn't he know that he tweeted out John McCain's a loser? Doesn't he know he said on tape? I mean, that was a massive moment. You guys all remember when he said, I prefer people who weren't captured. But earlier he said, I don't like losers, referring to John McCain. So why did he come out yesterday and say, no, I never called him a loser? He's just unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And so if you say, hey, you know what? I love people who are liars. Okay, I mean, do you, boo? Okay, and look, again, I blame the media, and because so many politicians lie, and they never call it out. They enabled politicians' lies for decades. So eventually, you got one that's so over the top that even they had to be like, whoa. And remember, you guys remember, it took them like a couple of years before they finally gathered up the nerve to say, well, what Donald Trump said there was not correct. And I'm like, is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay?
I'm forgetting the name of the CNN analyst who finally just said it and then went on this 3-minute rant fact-checking Trump. He was fact-checking Trump's RNC speech, but he started that 3-minute rant by saying Trump lied. He's a liar. And I was like, is this CNN? What's going on? And so, yeah, you're right, Cenk. Like the fact that excited me because it's so rare, I think means something. And we'll get you the name of the person I'm talking about because he deserves all the credit. I'm just kind of blanking right now. But look, I actually think with this particular story and a few others, the media has done a decent job. So for instance, Business Insider had a very lengthy list highlighting all the different times Donald Trump attacked members of the military, right? And fallen soldiers. So I want to read a few of them right now. In fact, as you guys can probably remember, in July of 2016, Trump attacked the family of Captain Humayun Khan, a slain soldier, someone who died fighting for the country, dismissing a speech his father Kaiser Khan made because he said Khan's mother hadn't been allowed to speak. The family said she had not spoken because she was too emotional to talk about her son's death. And he just kept going after that family. It was honestly disgusting. In October of 2017, Trump forgot the name of slain US Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. While he was on the phone with his widow, Johnson was killed in an ambush in Niger while in active service. Maisha Johnson said the call with Trump made her cry and that Trump told her that her husband knew what he had signed up for. In November of 2018, Fox News's Chris Wallace asked Trump about his thoughts on retired Admiral William McRaven, a former Navy SEAL who was behind the mission that killed Osama bin Laden. He interrupted Wallace and said, "Hillary Clinton fan." When Wallace continued, Trump did too. "Excuse me, Hillary Clinton fan." Trump went on to repeat that McRaven supported Clinton, which, by the way, he hadn't, as well as former President Barack Obama, and said, frankly, wouldn't it have been nice if we got Osama bin Laden a lot sooner than that? I mean, there's so many more examples, Cenk, but I mean, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to some of them. And by the way, Daniel Dale is the CNN reporter that I was referring to earlier. Go ahead.
So we've seen him call the generals losers thousands of times. And so I guess people are shocked that he would go and call the fallen soldiers losers as well, and not just stop at generals or veterans or captured soldiers. But is it really shocking at all? He calls everybody losers. I mean, in his denial, he called the military people who were the sources for this story lowlifes and liars. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to deny that you'd ever call anybody in the military losers, you shouldn't then turn around in your denial and call them lowlifes and liars. So, and look, Atlantic broke the story with 4 sources, then Washington Post backed it up with 3 sources, and then Associated Press also found sources all saying the same thing. He said it.
I actually want to read a few excerpts from the Washington Post piece. Again, these aren't the same sources. These are additional sources who also spoke to the Washington Post about their experience with Trump and what he had to say about fallen soldiers. In one account, the president told senior advisors that he didn't understand why the US government placed such a high value on finding, this is so disgusting, finding soldiers missing in action because they had performed poorly and gotten caught and deserved what they got, according to a person familiar with the discussion. Okay, that part of the story, like, I don't know, all of it is gross, but that part hit me the hardest because he just doesn't value people's lives. And think about losing a family member that way and knowing that the president of the United States does not care to find their bodies. Trump believes people who served in the Vietnam War must be losers because they hadn't gotten out of it, according to a person familiar with the comments. Trump also complained bitterly to then Chief of Staff John Kelly that he didn't understand why Kelly and others in the military treated McCain, who had been imprisoned and tortured during the Vietnam War, with such reverence. Isn't he kind of a loser? Trump asked, according to a person familiar with Trump's comments.
So, look, Donald Trump says this is outrageous, it's anonymous sources. Donald Trump also just a couple of days ago said that there was a plane full of thugs who were gonna come and disturb his acceptance speech and cause violence. And when asked, who told you that? He said, I can't tell you. Basically, it's anonymous. Mm-hmm. So wait, I'm supposed to believe your anonymous source of trust me, it's a guy you would know, trust me. But we're not supposed to believe now. It looks like about a half a dozen military sources that talk to 3 different publications, all saying the same thing, and all saying things that are Very similar to what you've said before. And by the way, yesterday on the show, before the Washington Post and the Associated Press stories came out, I said, I guarantee you that he thinks that they're suckers because he got out of Vietnam with a fake doctor's note because his daddy bought him one. And he thinks they're suckers for not being able to get out of the war like his spoiled ass. And it turns out that's exactly what he said, according to the military sources that heard him say it.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.